Today's package is bigger than usual, but before we do that, I got some gifts from a friend, birthday gifts. We got the classic 90s X-Men series. Didn't even know that we had a Captain America Red Skull in there. This is obviously without the cover, the E.T. Maybe a 20th anniversary one. This one in particular is probably one I wanted. There's one problem with this, in that the enhanced / director's cut version of it is full screen, but I've mostly been interested in the non-director's, the original theatrical release, because the entire idea of replacing guns with walkie-talkies, you know, that just sounds stupid, unnecessary. And I didn't want to support that as much, even though E.T. is a classic. And then, of course, we got a Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 3. So I have Seasons 1 and 2, and now I have 3. Alright. Now we can open this. I think this week's actually going to be a nice update to a lot of things, so let's see. Put these here, these here, these here. There's nothing else in the box. So let's begin with this. This is Earl Fairy, I think. That little extra thing on the E kind of threw me off, but I guess it's on the top there, so it's strange. Oh look, there's that thing. This is a discotheque release, okay. Makes sense, their releases tend to have this stuff up here. And before we throw this away, we're going to take the sticker off. This one's definitely a very interesting and curious looking one. Looks a bit more shoujo, so that would probably be why it's not been as brought over, I guess. Because we see plenty of anime that don't score very well and have logistical problems get brought over. This one is Garo, Season 1, Part 1. Looks Funimation, so region A. Okay, so that says DVD. Okay, so this has both English and Japanese. I feel like I really need to look carefully at the Funimation DVD, just because it's really hard to tell sometimes. Even though the vast majority of their stuff is going to be dubbed. Let's see the DVD symbol there. Not that it's easy to tell these apart. Of course, the number of episodes would be a hint. There's Blu-ray. There's Blu-ray. There's some background imagery there. I don't know what to think about this, because it doesn't really look bland. It's kind of hard to read. This one is actually an interesting curiosity. Dororo, not to be confused with Durara. Either bit. This one is another discotheque release. Sticker out there. We're not going to forget this time. And as you can see, this is old black and white era animation. If I had an unlimited time and energy and stuff, I'd probably love to just see some of the history of this stuff. But I don't know. This is just a really neat addition at the moment. Gonna keep moving forward. Interesting. This one is, of course, just Japanese with English subtitles, which is kind of nice because for a lot of stuff of this vintage, you tend to have dubbed versions that are edited. Kimba the White Lion is an example of that. I'm trying to think if Astro Boy was edited or not. Oh well, Kamisama Kiss Season 2, which I'm not quite sure where the box version, yeah, because I got the special edition of the box, so there would be room in here for this. Maybe a couple additional seasons, so I don't know what else is out there, if that was planned or if that special Goddess box was just extra big to accommodate all the neat goodies it came with. Funimation, so it's Region A. It should be dubbed because the first half was dubbed. It's dubbed, so we're going to take a peek at the contents. That says DVD and DVD up there. And this is why I try to figure out usually, because instead of them all being black, these ones have different colors for the DVDs and the Blu-rays. You can see the Blu-ray symbol there. Huh. This is actually really neat because these are, I guess, slightly different purples. Like this is a darker purple and this is a lighter one. But the purple is DVD, whereas you got teal cyan sort of thing going on here. So these colors are more obviously different than these two purples, which is kind of hard to tell, but I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes. Oh look, more One Piece! Season 7, Voyage 6. I think, I'm trying to remember what was happening as of the last One Piece DVDs. Again, not expecting much in the way of inside these. I see a 2 and a 1. And these say 1 and 2. Pretty straightforward. Looks like it goes to episode 456. Unless I was being a little too quick. Oh look, it's two brothers. It's two brothers. That doesn't look like a brother though, that looks like a pug. Well, I think your average pug would probably be absolutely panicked being in a spacesuit, given how you kind of see some animals getting used to breathing apparatuses, cats and dogs and stuff on YouTube. There's got to be some pugs where if you expose them to enough space, they'd probably really enjoy it. So we got a single disc in here, standard Japanese with English subtitles, Region A. I think that's consistent with the other Space Brothers releases. Because one thing I noticed is sometimes these come with 3 discs and sometimes they come with 2. Probably depends on episodes. We're up to 99 episodes of this out. Huh. And then the last thing that came in there is actually thicker than I was thinking. Okay, this is a Funimation release. Rage of Bahamut Genesis. Now that's actually a kind of cool name, but it's kind of cool because it just includes all the legal sounding stuff. I wonder if this is supposed to be a more perverted. Oh look, Regions A and B. Dubbed, of course. And this feels like it can come off, so let's take it off. And so I was almost wondering, that looked a lot like the second Parasite collection, which hasn't come out. I was looking at upcoming anime stuff. Let's see, I guess I'll leave that there for now. We'll just go top to bottom here. We have in here, it looks like that says DVD, so these would be the DVD discs. DVD 1, DVD 2, and we can see lists of episodes there. It goes up to age 12, Rage of Bahamut. Spoiler alert. This series may have a raging Bahamut in it. And this would probably be the Blu-ray. Blu-ray discs. Blu-ray. Blu-ray. Stuff. Let's put that there. and flip through this art book real quick. That's pretty cool stuff. Was that going flip book on us? Oh, that's pretty awesome. I wonder if the other direction was similar. It's not exactly flip book, but yeah, okay, that's actually really cool. Huh. Well, I'd say that's it, but actually, this is a pretty good week for updates, so we've got a couple other things. Let's begin with ALDNOAH.Zero Volume 4, which goes up to episode 24, which might mean this is all of it. And apparently I have not taken it out of its plastic yet. So we'll do that. Obviously I have the Blu-ray and DVD versions, which is good because the DVD versions would be how I would quickly access the data from my streaming server. Whereas if I watch it, I'm probably going to watch it on the Blu-ray player using the Blu-ray. So I have access to both. And I know that on its own would be a bit eccentric. So it's really because I'm also a collector, and Blu-ray and DVD are separate things. 2 discs. Lady who I don't know or recognize, which would change if I actually watched the damn series. Let's see. It doesn't look like it's super spectacular underneath this. Rarely is. These things are designed so that there's a bit more action, although you do have that bit of color down there. It's missing if it's covered up with this. But oh well, we got to take a peek at it. Let's take a look real quick at the discs. Okay, I recognize that imagery. Both sides technically. Blu-ray. Inside. It's interesting how different it is. And not different in a bad way per se. More art. This looks like a very mecha-y one, although just okay, I guess for some reason that looked like a Blissey. I must have Pokemon on the brain. But flipping through, I thought I saw the Bliss, that pink thing as a Blissey. Very weird. Oh. Huh. Apparently there's postcards too. Which I just don't open anymore. This one is actually one I'm excited to have out, Yamibo. According to DVD or Film Aficionado, I guess the listing for this showed up back in 2014. All I know is I pre-ordered this years ago, and it finally arrived. So it's Japanese with English subtitles only. It came with this to buffer the inside, and as you might expect from Anime Works, it's burn-on-demand stuff. As for why I was excited for this series specifically, I guess because this one was so confusing. It didn't help that I was watching Destiny of the Shrine Maiden. I can't remember what it's called, but it also features a similar looking. That one, the lesbianism is one-sided, but yeah, it was just weird because I was watching, going between the episodes of them as they went at the same time. It was weird. And it might not have been at the same time, but it was just around the same time. So there was some bleed over, since she's personality-wise a lot like that other black-haired girl from that one. Whereas Eve and the other blonde-haired girl from that other one, those weren't exactly the same. But yeah, again, this one's very weird. It's one of those titles I downloaded, and I'm not sure how well I remember or comprehended it at the time, so I definitely wanted to revisit it, and it coming out on DVD has been one of those excuses, I guess. Now, if only a cheeky angel would come out. And, last but not least, an imported version of Volume 5 5 of, or movie 5 of Akito the Exiled. And as you can see, this one came in a box to hold everything. Nothing in the box, so we don't need to do the 7th Deadly Sin thing. There it is. And yeah, I was pretty sure I wanted this version because I was pretty sure that box would hold all 5 movies. I thought they were originally supposed to be 4, but since I haven't watched the last couple, I haven't seen if what or anything could have changed that. Special book. Character designs, some character sketches. Nothing too notable there. It's a very small book, which only has that stuff. I don't even remember if the older stuff even had. So one thing I noticed, this doesn't have that piece of paper on it because it was a part of that box, and that's notable because I've got the first 4 movies here, and I see that I put them back in their plastics, but you can also see that, well, I guess you can feel it more than see it. See this side? I can't read that because that's Japanese. No, I guess I can read those numbers. But this side is probably the side I'm going to be displaying. So my thought is I'm actually going to go through these and put them all in the complete collection here so that we can see it. And I'm thinking all these booklets and stuff, which is why I tended to put these back in. I think I'm just going to keep them all together in the box itself, probably. So we're going to actually do that. This, of course, needs to go to the side, the same place where the one for the box is going. But let's just start putting them in the box, because that's what this version was supposed to be for. And worst case, the extra stuff doesn't fit in there with everything else. But I guess that's what we're about to find out. And I figure this is a treat for y'all because most of y'all, even if you buy anime, you probably don't import stuff from Japan. I know I rarely do because it needs to be subtitled first of all, and then since it's expensive, it's also, I'm a bit more hesitant, I suppose. We'll just keep going. I think somebody's review on anime, the Japanese Amazon was this right here. As you can see, there's quite a bit of extra space, which is what I'm going to put this stuff in. That's actually not too bad right there. Cool. Look at that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Akito the Exiled. And I think that finally completes that. I'll take these and toss them over there. And that should also complete this anime DVD collection update. So let's I guess the ordering is just going to be whatever it is here. So there we go. This week's anime DVD collection update. I guess it's been a bit of a crazy week because I haven't watched a whole lot of anime. But first of all, I did finish Seki-kun. It was amusing. Like I said last week, it had this kind of Michigan J. Frog sort of element of, hey, everybody look at the person doing the thing and it looks like they're doing something normal, and then they explain themselves badly. And I guess I was thinking recently that probably the reason that works for the classic Michigan J. Frog one is the guy was being kind of greedy, I guess, in that one. And the frog kind of represents a, oh, there's no shortcut out of life or whatever. which is kind of what he was looking for and looking to do, and because he jumped at it, you know, it's kind of a moral story. Whereas for a lot of things I talk about that are kind of like that but aren't as entertaining, it's because usually somebody's doing something where that person is doing something that's really disruptive. Seki-kun, of course, he disrupts the girl to a large extent. I mean, there's a problem there where, you know, they kind of play around with the idea to kind of dismiss it, but I'm pretty sure it only makes sense to say that she actually likes Seki-kun because she thinks she hates him and that it's always his fault, but most of the time she just can't help but be fascinated by what he's actually doing, even if she's complaining about it along the way. So I think even though the relationship is one where she doesn't want to admit it, she, I think, actually likes him, and that's kind of the thing. So that's slightly different, where it's like his behavior is disruptive to her, and she's not necessarily being greedy or trying to make any shortcuts in life. She's trying to get through life, but he's the Michigan J Frog, when applied to that sort of situation, gets kind of annoying. And I bring all that up because, again, that seemed to only happen a couple times closer to the beginning, and the series grew out of that really, really quickly because it doesn't work as well. And so instead, you know, just continues and plays around. It introduces a couple new characters as well who are good introduced characters. They exist to give us a different perspective of the main idea that's there, as opposed to, oh, we need to spice up the show by introducing a new character and nobody likes him because he just destroys the dynamic or whatever. I'm thinking of like the Poochie episode of Simpsons or whatnot. And so overall, it was very entertaining, and it only had those couple small road bumps. The biggest problem it had was actually just that I was playing Terraria, I guess, because I think I had started last week. It's kind of a blur. Yeah, I guess it's been a week and a half. After that, I decided I really needed to watch Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions Heartthrob, because I had watched the first season. Whether or not y'all remember, it was kind of an okay series conceptually, I guess, but I didn't care too much for the original one, and this one, it's kind of the same. So I'd say that probably means that this second season is pretty good. If you're a big fan of the first season, you're probably going to be a continued fan of this season. It's nice slice of life-y sort of stuff. My biggest problem is that the whole concept of Chunibyo is, especially within the context of this series, kind of a denial of reality, which is something I don't really like to do, you know. Denying reality is a way that you kind of pass your burdens on to the other people around you so that you don't have to deal with them, and that's not a very nice thing to do. But what was I thinking? Because I thought I was going somewhere with that. Okay, so obviously it means that there's always that disconnect there with this, and along similar lines, they like to have some flashy battles in there that are related to the concept of Chunibyo. Now, if you're not familiar with what that means, it refers to a concept of, I guess it's more of a trend among middle school Japanese students at least, but I'm pretty sure you'll probably find people all over the world who kind of do that sort of thing. Nothing comes to mind for me locally, but it's something that doesn't even get explored a whole lot in anime itself. But it deals with the idea of somebody who has a delusion, sort of. They go through life pretending like they're really this super-powered, supernatural, ridiculous thing that's only inhabiting an apparently normal-looking body. And there's definitely fantasies that I think a lot of us have along those lines, but Chunibyo is different in that it involves acting it out. And it sounds like it's different conceptually from LARPing, which would be live-action role-playing, if you're not familiar with the term. In that, you know, sometimes while there's an active element of acting it out, there's more of a desperate teenager trying to differentiate themselves thing. It's sort of similar to how you'll have goths who require people to demonstrate their nonconformist by conforming to a certain dress code, I guess, which would be the goth one or the emo one or whatever. And it's one of those things where
it's only valid, first of all, if people aren't forced to do it and if they're not trying to conform to what, I don't know. And the Chunibyo stuff is all about, you know, kind of just ignoring this secondary. I'm babbling at this point. Let's go back to the series itself. But yeah, I'm only 8 episodes in, 12 episodes and OVA, so I've got 5 episodes left to go. And this one's slow for 2 reasons. First of all, there's the annoyance where I have to make sure I have enough time dedicated to watching an entire disc instead of piecemealing it out like I can do if I'm super distracted by a video game. And the reason for this is because in my Blu-ray player, when it falls asleep, it goes back to the title screen of this DVD. So unless I'm specifically remembering what episode I'm at, or... well, I have to be in between episodes, and I have to know which episode I'm specifically about to watch next in order to piecemeal it out. So it's kind of hard to do. I'm not sure how much of it is potentially my Blu-ray player being either weird or potentially even out of date, because I don't tend to connect those sorts of things to the internet. You know, I just rather... there's probably additional functionality, but there's also the possibility of, we decided to make it a little harder for you to use your own equipment, and we've locked away certain features and certain combinations or whatnot. Of course, it's already annoying that I can't tell the Blu-ray player never to go to sleep, because I can just turn the TV off if I don't want it to go to sleep. But I'm babbling. Not all DVDs do that, not all Blu-rays do that, but some DVDs and some Blu-rays do, so there's something there. And it's kind of surprising me, because even though this has been sitting on the piles there for a long time, it's not that old, and I thought a lot of the newer stuff handled that better. I don't know. But it's been entertaining. I'm not sure... I guess I can kind of sort of see a goal related to stuff in here. Like the first one... because I don't want to talk too much about where the first one ends, so that when you watch the first one, you kind of experience it. But there is a kind of overarching goal within that one, which involves the boy meet girl stuff, and this is actually more along those lines. And I think the goals are slightly different, and while there's some vagueness there to what exactly those goals mean, you know, I think I was saying something earlier, but yeah, while there's those vague goals are there, I'm not exactly sure where the stopping point they're going to be going for is, because there's a lot of series that intentionally don't reach a stopping point, and then some of the really good ones reach stopping points. Those ones are known as really good romances, and then there's ones that are really interesting because they go beyond any kind of stopping point you normally ever see. And those ones would be the ones where you tend to see a young couple go on beyond their school life and go out into the world and develop a family and whatnot like that. And that's rare. And this one I don't think is going that far, but it's curious how far it's going to go. And the thing I was trying to mention before was I was talking about the Chunibyo and the battle stuff, and I've said this before about action, but to me, you can be as flashy as you want with the action, but if it's fake, because fake's not the right word, but it's the only word that comes to mind at the moment. If it's fake, then I don't care about it as much. And fake tends to mean that you need to... fighting there's nothing about fighting if there's nothing at stake, essentially. So like with the Chunibyo delusions, I mean, in theory there's something at stake, but in practice it's more about them playing out, pretending they're doing these big things, but they aren't really those big things, so it's kind of like a big misrepresentation of any conflict that's going on, if there's even conflict going on. It's not just there to try and be flashy fan service. And there's a lot of examples of this. I think Black Rock Shooter is one that I've gone to as an example of, you know, conceptually this stuff is really nice, but these characters pointing guns at each other is meaningless, because every time they shoot each other, it doesn't matter. Dead Fantasy is probably another one, the person who made Ruby. And I think that's why Ruby I wasn't sure if I cared as much about, because it's like, they're all about having these characters do things that I guess are supposed to be cool, but you know, it's lacking the context that I would think would actually make it cool. It's like, I'll watch the first episode of Figure 17 and I'll really like it because the context they've set up is, okay, she's just a little girl, and this guy, he's somewhat familiar with these monsters, but he's surprised that they are now immune to his weapons. and we see him battle, and so we know the expectation set up for her. And when he gets taken out, you know that, okay, well, now she's kind of in danger. But then when she takes it out and he wakes up, you know, his expectation of that battle, and you know, there's a lot of stuff set up there, and that's just in like the first episode of Figure 17. And that's kind of like, I find a lot of that really exciting, even if it's not as flashy as a whole lot of stuff out there, because I guess that one combines two things, because there's understanding what's at stake. Okay, yeah, you kind of feel like, okay, she was vulnerable, and just because she transformed into Figure 17 doesn't mean that she's definitely going to be able to beat it, or is not in danger, because obviously the other guy was in danger. And the other thing that's really neat there is just the whole element of everybody's minds were blown, and I think I'm kind of mixing those together when I have that as a go-to. And so I guess, I don't know, it's an interesting anime because there's a lot to talk about. It doesn't fulfill a whole lot to me most of the time in terms of what I find enjoyable, but it's got some nice slice of lifey moments in it. I guess one weird thing, this DVD is dubbed, and I don't think there was a Blu-ray version released. At least I didn't think I saw one. And the first season of Chunibyo, which I kind of see over there, that one was released DVD only, and then a Blu-ray DVD combo, and the Blu-ray DVD combo had a dub added onto this. So this one has the dub continued, and because it's been so long since I watched it, I guess because I never completely connected with the anime, switching from sub in the first season to dub in the second has not been as jarring as I would have thought it would be. It's a little bit is there where I'm like, I'm thinking too much about the fact this is dubbed, but it's been not bad otherwise in that regard. It's probably a fine dub, but it's one of those ones where, because of the way I've watched the series, it's got some weird mental baggage coming along with it. Oh god, I just keep talking. So let's see. Other stuff to watch. Again, a lot of stuff has not been watched because I've been playing Terraria. I've had some Looney Tunes stuff on in the background just because there's a lot of it I've seen before. A lot of it is the kind of slapstick you're familiar with, and it's fun and good stuff. And I guess speaking of slapstick, I did rewatch those Roger Rabbit cartoons. I think there's only technically the one that was at the very beginning of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and then the one for that movie, and then I think they had 3 other ones that were part of establishing a Roger Rabbit sort of universe thing, and I think it's only those 4, but that's a really good slapstick. I mean, it's super spectacular even compared to some of these old Looney Tunes classics, but there's great Looney Tunes stuff there as well. I mean, they're classics for a reason, and definitely looking forward to the next Wile E. Coyote versus Roadrunner that comes up, because my system is basically just going through them alphabetically. But yeah, a lot of my extra time has been playing Terraria, just because it's really easy to sync time in that. And one thing I really like about it is the time sync works out. Like, I can kind of understand why people were complaining about Starbound, because when you have Terraria to compare it against, the pacing in Terraria can be kind of slow at times, but it's not too slow, and it keeps you doing stuff and digging and whatnot. And I did have a period of time where I was just creating new worlds in order to go find a pyramid and raid it and say, oh yeah, I finally found my sandstorm in a bottle. Which is kind of reminiscent of Starbound stuff, where I would just go planet to planet and just skim along the surface and look for items, because I wanted to get all the musical instruments. But there's still progression going on in Terraria. I mean, just last night on our server, we finally got down to the underworld, and then a wall of flesh accidentally spawned twice, and we discovered we can't teleport away from it. Fun stuff. But what else? I need to test that. But then there's also... Okay, yeah. I was talking about stuff I've watched. I did watch the first 3 episodes of the X-Men animated series. Basically, because I had a couple of friends over, and it's like, we've been playing Zelda Triforce Heroes together, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of the game. I kind of feel like there's way too many design oopsies that don't have enough wiggle room for players to figure them out as they go, which tends to be what makes Zelda games fun, because you just don't get hounded by this thing hitting you way too fast and you're only in the second fucking world or something like that. But I guess the problem is they wanted to make it where it could still be challenging. And I wouldn't say Zelda games are necessarily challenging so much as they're more thought-provoking as you go along. Part of me was wondering if it could be comparable to something like a Sudoku puzzle or something like that, but even that might be a little more complex than what a Zelda game may be trying to do, perhaps. Oh well. The point, I guess, is it's been frustrating. I guess a really good simple example. The third world is a volcano place, which is already a kind of hazardous thing, but the game will do certain things such as, oh, here's a bat that's on fire, and you didn't mean to hit it, you meant to hit another guy, but it flew at you, and then you hit it, and you lose a heart because you accidentally hit the bat that's on fire. Now your character's on fire, and he immediately ran when you weren't expecting to into the nearest pit of lava, and you lose another heart, and all of that happens in a quarter of a second, and it's just, that's frustrating. That's and then you have other things where one of your friends picked you up, and then he accidentally walked off the side of the ledge, and so you lose 2 hearts, one for him falling off and one for you falling off. And you'll have these little things where we tried to set something up and the game punishes you so harshly because it's trying to be hard, and it kind of feels against Zelda's spirit in a way because of that. So, but you know, we get together, we play that every once in a while. We're making progress. We just beat the fortress, which I think is the 4th or 5th world or something like that. And you know, since we were together and one of the friends gave me those X-Men, I'm like, well, we are all around the same age. We all saw some of X-Men back in the 90s for different reasons, different circumstances, whatever. So it's like, let's watch it. Let's watch the first 3 episodes. And I guess that's where I was trying to go with all this. That's a lot of rambling. So, it was actually pretty neat. Some of the stuff is easier to remember. The episodes fly by faster than I remember. But it's interesting. If you're watching it for the first time or revisiting, it's definitely one of those things where you kind of have to remember some of the 90s cheesiness, campiness, or whatnot, which was just a part of the Saturday morning cartoons. But I forgot just how much the episodes go on. It's like I watched the first 3, so that's Night of the Sentinels Part 1 and 2, and then there's Enter Magneto. But even though it went from a 2-parter introduction to the first non-parter episode, it had a flow to it, it had continuity to it, and it's like, oh yeah, that's actually what makes this really neat, is it's universe building, and it's more 90s, more campy than a lot of stuff we see, but at the same time, it's really neat to see that sort of stuff in that sort of environment. It was a nice revisit. I'd watch more of it, but I'm so distracted and falling behind on anime as it is, in terms of I just received a shit ton of stuff. And that one we're going to watch on Friday. That one I want to watch. That one I want to watch. That one I'm curious about. I want to rewatch that. Can finally watch that. Yeah, I'm just looking at the pile of stuff that arrived today, that I announced today, and there's a lot of stuff I want to watch. And I guess I could now consider ALDNOAH.Zero, since I have all 4 volumes now. Yeah, I was just trying to remember if I had some over here, but no, I ripped those and is that what those are? No, I put them on the tops in there. Okay. See? Nice and confusing. But stuff. it's all complicated. Let's see. Ending this video, I definitely want to talk about, you know, obviously since I haven't talked about having the next job lined up, I've been putting it off for a while, but I last night evaluated my finances, where I feel about things, and I feel like given that next month is actually a little bit light on the anime releases front, that I felt okay pre-ordering all of it and eating a little bit into my savings like that. So I went ahead and pre-ordered everything. I'm trying to think what all there was. I mean, you'd think I would remember better because it was just last night. Let's see, I do remember the second season of Tokyo Ghoul being there, although I've got a little anticipation there because I think I've heard that some people are not pleased with where it went compared to the manga, you know, where it branches off from that material. So I guess I'm curious. And then there's not Akito the Exiled, because obviously there's that, but Kamiga Kill Volume 2 is also coming out next month. There were a couple of Funimation releases that didn't show up under Amazon's anime category for some reason, but this is why Right Stuff helps me mop all that back up. I guess Your Lie in April 2 and Saikano 2 come out, and one or both of those are half volumes as they currently exist. Your Lie in April. I guess I can't really tell them there's Saikano. So that's neat. One of those might be finished, and those might be neat. Your Lie in April scores particularly high, so I guess I'm interested in that one. But I'm trying to remember what all there was. My brain's drawing blank. Oh, Log Horizon 2 Collection 1. Yeah, lots of good stuff. And I saw a little further out, One Piece Season 8 is definitely on the docket to be released, so that's good, because I do want to continue watching that. It did sound like maybe some people were disappointed with more recent pacing of some sort, but I'll figure that out. Worst case, it'll be like Naruto, and I'll just be suffering with it with a friend, and we'll be able to comment about it, but we'll find out when it comes. Anything else? Deadpool comes out next month, so I pre-ordered that. Guess I didn't check for other things to look at and add. I got a couple. Okay. Yeah, it's stuff. I think I wish I could remember next month's stuff better, since there was only a handful of it. There was a lot of old re-releases. Azumanga Daioh, I think, was kind of one of the more notable ones that I saw. To me, at least. Notable to me. But, yeah. I guess, since it's all rambling, I'll go ahead and end my update there. Y'all have a nice week.